Program governances.
The governing body composition. The governing body shall be composed of one member who has a background and expertise in financial management and accounting, one that has an expertise in early childhood development and education, and one who is a licensed attorney familiar with issues coming before the governing body.
Governing body that is not able to have the expertise of an attorney, fiscal, and accounting in early childhood and development may use a consultant or an individual with relevant expertise with qualifications to work directly with the governing body. Governing body responsibilities. Assume legal and fiscal responsibilities for administering and overseeing all programs under its authority, including the safeguard of federal funds. Adopt practices that assure active, independent, and informed governance of the corporation, including the resolution of internal disputes and the facilitation of meaningful consultation and collaboration about decisions of the Board of Directors and Policy Council, and fully participate in the development, planning, and evaluation of the Head Start program. Ensure compliance with applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and establish procedures and criteria for recruitment, selection, and enrollment of children. Review applications for Head Start funding and amendments to such application. Establish procedures and guidelines for accessing and collecting accurate and regular information for use by the Board of Directors and the Policy Council about program planning, policies, and Head Start agency operation.
Approve financial management, accounting, and reporting policies in compliance with laws and regulations relating to financial statements, including the approval of all major financial expenditures of the agency, annual approval of operations budget, and selection of independent auditor that will report to the director. Review results from monitoring conducted under Section 641C of the Head Start Act, including appropriate follow-up activities. Develop procedures for how Policy Council members are selected. Establish, adopt, and periodically update written standards of conduct that establish standards for formal procedures for disclosing, addressing, and resolving any conflicts of interest or the appearance of conflicts by the directors or employees and consultants and agents who provide service or goods for the corporation, complaints, including investigations as appropriate.
Policy Council. Why is there a Policy Council? Policy Council is responsible for making decisions that guide and direct the Head Start program. They work in partnership with the governing body to govern the programs.
The Policy Council composition. The Policy Council shall be elected by parents of children who are currently enrolled in the Head Start Early Head Start program. 51% of the Policy Council must be parents. Parents shall constitute the majority of the Policy Council. Members at large of the community served by the Head Start Early Head Start program may include parents of children who were formerly enrolled in Head Start or Early Head Start.
The Policy Council shall approve and submit to the governing body decisions about program operation activities. 642 2D Reauthorization Head Start Act. Procedures for program planning, philosophy, and long and short-term goals. Approve procedures for program planning to include the program's philosophy and long and short-range goals and objectives. Participate in discussion concerning program vision. Establish subcommittees as needed to work with staff. Analyze plans, goals, and objectives. Obtain recommendations from parent committees. Provide input on relevant community issues. Review financial statements to ensure resources are available. Criteria for recruitment, selection, and enrollment priorities. Approve criteria for recruitment, selection, and enrollment priorities in accordance with the requirements of federal regulations. Conduct periodic reviews of the criteria for recruitment, selection, and enrollment priorities. Criteria for recruitment, selection, and enrollment priorities. Examine how the enrollment process is working to address the needs of children and families in the community. Review and approve all funding applications for Head Start, including administrative services prior to the submission of the applications to the grantee. Consider funding applications as part of an ongoing planning process. Get information on the funding request and provide input before the application and related materials are drafted. Annual self-assessment of the agency's progress in carrying the programmatic and fiscal intent of its grant application, including planning and other actions that may result from review of the annual audit and findings from the Federal Monitoring Review. Define measures for the self-assessment process. Approve procedures describing how the governing body and the appropriate policy group will implement shared decision making. Support open channels of communication to include exchange minutes of meetings and joint meetings.
Procedure for resolving disputes. Jointly establish written procedures for resolving internal disputes, including impasse procedure between the governing body and policy council. Develop and formally adopt dispute resolution policies. Ensure new members are aware of the dispute resolution process. Seek out assistance from community-based organizations for assistance in negotiation and mediation of disputes that threaten to disrupt services to children and families.
Establish and maintain procedures for hearing and working with the agency to resolve community complaints about the program. Establish a process to respond to all community inquiries. Develop procedures that address specific steps in the process for addressing community concerns and resolving community complaints. Approve program personnel policies and changes to policies in accordance with the federal regulations to include standards of conduct for program staff, consultants, and volunteers. Review personnel policies. May participate in the recruitment and screening of Head Start staff. Modify or amend policies as appropriate. Bylaws. Approve bylaws for the operation of the Policy Council. Reauthorization Head Start Act. Responsible for reviewing the bylaws at least once a year to recommend changes if necessary. Approve budget planning for program expenditures, including policies, reimbursement, and participation in Policy Council activities. Reauthorization Head Start Act. Review and receive monthly budget updates on grant expenditures. Head Start Director's role in supporting governance. Executive Director.
Systemic support of program governance. Dynamic and cohesive management systems support continuous improvement and foster commitment to providing the highest level of service to children and families in accordance with legislation, regulations, and policies. The systems are planning, communications, record keeping and reporting, monitoring self-assessment, human resources, fiscal, and ERSI.
Key factors of a shared governance system. Clearly written procedures, procedures to resolve internal disputes, procedures for hearing and resolving community complaints, staff driving the partnership, managing and monitoring the governance portion of the standards.
Reporting. Grantee agencies must ensure that the following information is provided regularly to their grantee governing bodies and to members of their policy council. Program planning, policies, and Head Start, Early Head Start operations, monthly financial statements, including credit card expenditures. Program enrollment reports, including attendance, monthly reports of meals and snacks provided through USDA, annual self-assessment, including findings, countywide strategic planning and needs assessment, communication and guidance from the Secretary, and EIR report. Grantees provide training to their board and policy council to ensure that they understand the information they are receiving and to become effective in program participation. Trainings include new member orientation, parliamentary procedure, self-assessment, budget and finance, program planning, goal setting and objectives, and code of conduct.
Policy Council bylaws, performance standards, shared governance plan, conflict resolution policy, vision and mission statement, summary of program budget, meeting minutes from prior policy council meetings, policy council meet members directory. Required policy and procedures, shared decision making, conflict of interest, and posse procedures. Governing Board and Policy Council share the responsibility for making and approving policies and rules for the Head Start program. Members are to receive a written plan that outlines a shared decision-making process the Governing Board and Policy Council has agreed upon. Board and Policy Council must approve the shared governance plan.
The Policy Council and the Board must approve the shared governance plan. The Policy Council is included in all levels of the decision-making process. Conflict of interest. Members of the governing body and policy council shall not have a financial conflict of interest with the agency, not receive compensation for serving on the boards, not being employed or have an immediate family member employed by the agency, but operate as an entity independent of staff employed by the program. Internal dispute plan and impasse procedures. Governing body and policy council have a written procedure for how to resolve conflict or impasse for when the two groups are unable to agree on a decision regarding the program, resolving internal conflict in a constructive and positive manner. A required plan that outlines and establishes steps for how to resolve any conflicts that arise between the two groups. Governing body and policy council must follow the written procedures they have established for resolving conflicts or impasse. Parent committee responsibilities. Advise staff in developing and implementing local program policies, activities, and services. Program policy suggestions, volunteering and visiting Head Start sites on a regular basis, encouraged to attend monthly parent center meetings. Plan, conduct, and participate in formal and informal programs and activities for parents and staff. Advise staff in developing and implementing local program policies, activities, and services, and assist in the recruitment of children in the Head Start program. Parent involvement opportunities, participating on committees, parent volunteer, classroom, education, health advisory, or policy council.